A video posted by popular TV broadcaster Rufai Oseni at the early hours of today, 20th of October, has been making rounds now, as the video shows a peaceful protest led by Showore for the Free Nnamdi Kanu Now movement. As Showore and others stormed the city of Abuja for the protest, it was seen that what began calmly erupted into a chaos as security agents opened fire, forcing the protesters to flee for their lives in broad daylight. Which brings us to the question of the right to freedom of peaceful assembly and association in Nigeria. Does it still exist? Today makes it 5 years since the shooting at Lekki Toll Gate in 2020, yet no one has been held accountable. Should we say it is about to be a repeat of past experience? Do well to share your opinions and thoughts on this, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and also follow us on all our social media handles. That's a Bíäfràlànd Radio NG, and I'll see you on another video. Until then, stay informed and stay engaged.
Because it's a democracy, people can protest. But in a democracy, when people protest and you stifle their voice and you kill them, it makes us get sad and even question if what we're practicing democracy. And you see, I'm particularly miffed by the way they've started to stifle protests. Just this morning, what happened? When Showore went out with people to protest, and the next thing, tear gas. Daily Trust was reporting live bullets, live rounds being fired. Is this how to go? The same people that shut this country down for 2 weeks, Jonathan did not go after them like this. A lot of the people that protested Occupy Nigeria morphed into what is the APC today. We saw how they had a series of protests then. Were these not the same people that protested and put Jonathan's head and call him all sorts of names, Jonathan Haram and everything? Did they stifle their voices this way? So this high-handedness we practice in the name of democracy will not get anywhere. You remember the first anniversary after NSAS, that Femi had to stand tall with the police officer. People were tear gas. Mr. Macaroni was packed up in a bus. People must have a right to protest. What are they protesting for? Nnamdi Kanu. People have talked about a political solution all this way. Because while you talk about Nnamdi Kanu, what he did is unfair, you are also seeing a lot of heinous crimes being perpetrated by bandits, and they're having peace meetings. But in this country, some people have more power over the others. Like I've repeated, they have not said everything Nnamdi Kanu did was good. I disagree with some of most parts of his advocacy. But what you cannot deny Nnamdi Kanu, are people not being marginalized in this country? Are people not being killed in this country? So as long as that is happening and you don't have a level of fairness, then you're saying people should not talk? So I keep asking, which kind of democracy do we even practice? When it suits them, they talk. When it doesn't suit them, they go the other way. So please, people should be allowed to protest. Police should be there to protect them. I remember the famous protest when Chuba Akadibo and Buhari went to protest in Kanu that they refounded them. That was where Femi Falana went to court and he got that judgment. You shouldn't stifle protest. But what do we see? We see always attempt to stifle protest. What was the need going the way of tear gas canisters and the likes? What was the need? And you see, in any democracy, there must be protest. That's why the Americans are speaking up.
Yes, speaking about
no kings.
Yes.
And we must not have kings in this country. They say they should not go around the people's house. It's the presidential villa, not the people's house. No, in other parts of the world, don't people go to the White House? And the president will even take them on tours.
Right.
But you can't do. See this country.
All right. Well, speaking about that and speaking about stifling protests, you just mentioned no kings. Speaking about protests in the United States, millions of people attended protests over the weekend against President Donald Trump's administration in the second round of no kings demonstrations across all 50 states. The widespread rallies aim to broadly reject what organizers describe as Trump's increasingly authoritarian agenda. The protests, which originally began in June, follow sweeping ICE raids and troop deployments in Democrat-led states. The protests come against the backdrop of a federal government shutdown, with GOP lawmakers and the White House in a standoff with Democrats.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Get loud for our democracy. Release help. Release. My son.
Bimbai, look at that. It is reported that about 7 million people participated in the protests. Trump and Republican leaders have labeled the protests as anti-American. However, we saw states like Idaho, a deeply conservative state, turn out dozens of protesters. The scale and organization of these demonstrations reflect deep political divisions in America, with citizens exercising their constitutional rights, even as political leaders debate the legitimacy and impact of mass protests on governance and national unity. You didn't see where they tried to stifle this protest. Across all 50 states, yes, we saw some police out there, but this is their constitutional right, Bimbai.
I think this is the key takeaway. Whether you're pro or anti this protest, the takeaway is that it was allowed to happen. It was done so in an orderly way. We get to hear, reports of skirmishes with the law enforcement officials and so forth. And this is in essence what people are saying. People are saying that whether you stand with us or whether you don't agree with our cause, we should still be allowed to express ourselves in a free way and in an orderly and secure way. Now, for me, what's happening in America is something that I've drawn parallels with Nigeria on several occasions, especially because we exercise the presidential system of governance. And of course, we know what the tension that's currently happening between the center, the federal center, Donald Trump, and opposition states, with regards to security issues, with regards to a number of other ideological differences. And now this is culminating in people coming out to say, well, we feel that this government is becoming increasingly authoritarian and we disagree with this. Of course, the response from Donald Trump is that, well, all of this is sponsored. It's anti-American and it's just sponsored to make me look bad. But the takeaway is the fact that the people are allowed to take to the streets and express themselves, whether they are sponsored or not, whether they stand right or not. History will judge them. And history, on several occasions, has vindicated millions of Americans who have come out to protest in the streets to be able to voice their concerns. Now, the deepest concern in the global South is a phenomenon called hijacking protests that we see. We've seen protests become increasingly violent in a number of places. Now it's almost like it's like a catch-22 situations, because the more you stifle these outings, the more people are going to become aggressive in wanting to come out. What are some examples? You look at Kenya, you look at Nepal, there's several examples that we can look at where protests have turned extremely violent, and that is because there's a huge attempt to try and quell them. There's a huge attempt to try and take away people's rights to protest, and of course the outcome of that is violence. I hear in Abuja a number of people have been arrested this morning. That's besides the tear gas and the bullets that are flying around. And I just say, why can't we just trust our security services to ensure that protesters are kept safe, that they stick to whatever demarcated area has been allotted to them? That's most importantly. And number two, it does not need to degenerate. This narrative of protests being hijacked is an unfortunate one, and it needs to be brought to an end. And it's up to the police to protect protesters so that it doesn't degenerate and it doesn't get hijacked by those other people who have their own agenda.
Well said, Bimbai. And you know that I believe Amoyele Sowore was saying that he hasn't been served any court order at the moment. So, we're waiting to see the developments of the story. And Arise TV will bring you guys up to speed.